Hey everyone, it's Jack Reeve, TalkNorwichCity here, back for another video. Hope you guys are all doing fantastically well. Back today for a tier list video. Yes, I know you guys absolutely love these, and today we're going to be ranking the Norwich City players' performances so far this season. I feel like we're at a point now when we can, look at the games played and there's enough evidence to have some kind of opinion. We're not writing players off too early. There's still a long way to go, but we've got enough of a sample size to put together some kind of opinion from this season. So let's get straight into it. Tim Krul, he is going into the superb category. He's been absolutely marvellous so far this season. I think when you've got a goalkeeper to the standard of Tim Krul, especially in this division, it is enough to gain you so many points. It's as important as having a goal scorer that scores maybe 15, 20 goals a season. Already this season, you can pinpoint performances that Tim Krul has put in that has single-handedly gained us points. And it's so important. I think some people sometimes overlook the importance of a really good quality goalkeeper, because the mistakes that can be made by a lesser quality goalkeeper can cost you a lot of points over the course of a season. So Tim Krul goes in this superb category. We've got 20 other players to get through here. So strap in, grab yourself a little beverage, and let's get through them. There's not going to be too much of an order to this, so let's go with Todd Cantwell next. I'm going to put him in the average category so far, and that's no dig to Todd Cantwell. I think there's been uncertainty surrounding Todd Cantwell, and it hasn't helped him. I think Todd is someone that needs and wants some love and some support around him, and I don't think that's necessarily been there this season. I think it's getting there, but I don't think the comments from Daniel Farke helped earlier on in the season. He's had injury that has hampered him slightly. What I would say about Todd is the performances that he has been involved in usually have helped Norwich City look better going forwards. But I think in terms of goals, in terms of assists, he will be wanting to improve, and hopefully after this current injury he comes back and comes back stronger. Lucas Rupp, I'm going to put him in the good category. I think Lucas Rupp's been good for this season so far. There's been certain areas of his game that I'd like to see improve slightly, but the dynamicness, is that a word? The dynamic nature of Lucas Rupp's performances have certainly improved. Playing in his preferred position has of course helped, and I think he has been a player that has drastically improved under my expectations, and usually Norwich City look better when Lucas Rupp is in the side. That's as far as I'm going with my praise of Lucas Rupp. He's good, but I don't think he's the absolute marvel that some people are describing him as. Ollie Hernandez, look, injury again has sadly hampered his season so far. I'm going to put him in the good category. I think it would be unfair to put him anywhere above that because we simply haven't seen enough from him. In terms of his charitable donations, he would go in the superb category. And in terms of TNC live appearances, he would also go in the superb category. The thing with Ollie, the thing with Placheta, these kind of wingers who are good in the Championship do sometimes struggle with their end product, and that's why they don't excel, maybe in levels higher. But Onel does go in the good category. Marco Stiepermann, I'm going to put him in very good because I just think that Norwich tick at such a better rate of knots when Marco Stiepermann is involved in the side. I think he gets the best out of Teemu Pukki, which is so important for Norwich City. I think Marco Stiepermann is absolutely crucial to the way that Daniel Farke wants Norwich City to be playing football. And ever since he's been reintroduced back into the squad, it's no coincidence that Norwich City have been playing better football, certainly going forward. So Marco Stiepermann goes into the very good category. Grant Hanley goes into good. I think Grant Hanley's had his, he's had his fair share of critics this season, and I kind of get it because there's been individual mistakes. Rotherham and Wickham stick out, but in terms of underlying data, Grant Hanley's been really good. Doesn't warrant him in the very good category, but Norwich City defensively have improved this season. Facts tell you that. More clean sheets, less goals on average conceded, less goals, less shots given up in terms of XG statistics. So Grant Hanley's been a reason that the defence has improved. I think the people ahead of him in terms of Lucas Rupp has helped that. But I think Grant Hanley on the whole has been good. Krzysztof Zimmermann is another of those who have been hampered with injury, as there have been certain players in here that go into that rank. I think Krzysztof's been average. I think the thing with Krzysztof that he maybe struggles with compared to a Grant Hanley is the pace element. I think Hanley's got a bit more pace about him than Krzysztof Zimmermann. But with that being said, Krzysztof Zimmermann is still a very good defender at this level. Again, haven't seen loads of him because of injury, so it's difficult to make a really fair assessment. Max Aarons I'm going to go with next. He goes in the superb category. The thing with Max is his performances are so mature, and often you get to the end of the game and you don't necessarily talk about him too much because he just did the basics right. He carried out his job really well. He hasn't made any mistakes this season, and he's maybe thrown in a couple of glimpses of him going forwards and creating opportunities that have been squandered by a certain player. I think when you're not necessarily talking about a defender too much, that's a really good sign, because it means that they haven't made a mistake. They probably haven't conceded a goal at all or too many goals. Max Aarons is a Premier League footballer. It's as simple as that. And he's playing in the Championship, so his performances look even better. Teemu Pukki up next. I'm going to put Teemu's performances as good. I don't think they've been very good. I think there's been a sluggishness about Teemu Pukki at times this season. But if you're saying there's been a sluggishness about Teemu Pukki and he has still scored 4 goals already this season, that's promising. I don't think a couple of the systems helped him. I don't think he works in the 10, I don't like that. Teemu Pukki is at his best when he's a sole striker with a defensive line that's quite high up and Marco Stiepermann in behind him. That was the exact thing that he got against Bristol City. That was when he looked at his absolute best. He scored for Finland. I think Teemu Pukki isn't back to his best, and I don't think we'll see a Teemu Pukki like we saw in 2018-2019, but I think this is a man that will still score 15, 20 goals in a season, and that is a really good return. I think Teemu Pukki is still the best striker at this football club, and I hope that he continues to get game times. I think it was the relentless nature of the Premier League into international football that didn't necessarily help Teemu, but I think he's getting back to his best. Placheta up next. He's actually going to be the first player that goes in the must improve category, and that's not necessarily a dig against Placheta. I think it's just a little come on Przemyslaw. I'm expecting better here. He got the goal against Preston, and it was a good finish. He also missed a really good opportunity that day, and I think there's just a willingness about Przemyslaw that he's just trying too hard. He just hasn't settled into his role yet, and I think Daniel Farke needs to get a grip of Przemyslaw and just go, look, I'm giving you the chance and I'm giving you the time to flourish. Don't try too hard. Just do the things that you're good at, and that will come. His final product hasn't been good enough. His shooting hasn't been good enough. His actual ability to get on the ball, I don't think has been good enough. But there are real raw signs there that there is a good player in there. I mean, he's so quick, and I don't think it's helped the way in which teams have played against us this season in terms of quite a low defensive line. Przemyslaw will want to be getting in behind defences, won't he, and using that pace, and I don't think he's had the opportunity to do that this season, and the games against Wycombe and Rotherham and teams like that have needed a Buendia or a Cantwell or someone of that ability, a Vrančić, a technical player to get on the ball and carve out opportunities, and not necessarily a raw, quick Placheta. So hopefully there'll be games where Placheta can show off his ability this season, and I'm not writing him off at all, but I'd like to see a bit more from Przemyslaw. Sorensen, Jakob Sorensen, I'm going to put him in the good category. The left-back performances have been astonishing, quite frankly. I mean, he's not a left-back. When he was named in that left-back position for the Brentford game, I automatically thought, oh no, we've got a central midfielder and a left-back. But you wouldn't have known. the performances have been really good. Whether he keeps his place, with the emergence of Ballymumba in that position is another question. But already the role that he has shown for Norwich City so far this season has been good. And hopefully that continues, especially when he can actually play in his favoured central defensive midfield role. Adam Idah. I'm going to put Adam Idah in the must-improve section, and that is harsh, I will admit, because he got the winning goal at Huddersfield that kick-started our season, really. But the red card was silly. Again, I think with Przemyslaw, he's a young player looking to make an impression. And unlike last season, when he scored the hat-trick against Preston and came and started the game against Manchester United at Old Trafford, there is an expectation with Adam Idah this season. He has obviously been told by Daniel Farke, I think you're good enough, we're not going to send you out on loan, we want you here and we want you to make an impact. And I don't think he has necessarily made as much of an impact as he would have hoped, and I think that's probably across the board with our strikers. Hugill hasn't made the impact that he would have liked, and that's not necessarily a thing against these players. There are other, extenuating circumstances that create this. But I would like to see more from Adam Idah this season. I think he's more than got the ability. I think it's tough when you play a system that demands one striker, and you're trying to kind of put him out on the left, and I just don't think it works. I think he's an out-and-out striker, and for me, it's Teemu Pukki over Hugill and Idah every day of the week. I think there will be a time and a place for Adam Idah this season, and I hope he takes it because there's clearly a very promising footballer in there. The fact that he's starting for his country shows that. So good, not a good start from Adam Idah, an okay start, and maybe he should be bumped up to the average. Maybe must improve is a bit harsh, but I think there's more to come from Adam Idah. And I guess that's something you'd hear from a teacher and a parents' evening. There's clear talent there, but I want you to assert it in a slightly better manner. Kenny McLean up next. I'm just going to put him in good because it's Kenny McLean and he's the mayor. Not much else about it. He hasn't played too much football this season. Scored a very lucky goal against Brentford that kept our momentum going and got his country into a European Championship for the first time in, 20 odd years. So Kenny, you're going in good for no other reason than you Kenny McLean. Hugill, along with Adam Idah, going in the must-improve section, got a winning penalty and showed utter coolness to dispatch that penalty. But other than that, he hasn't really made an impact. And again, this isn't a criticism, similar with Przemyslaw and Adam. I really like these players and I really like Jordan Hugill, but in terms of an impact that he's made on Norwich City, it's limited. And you're always going to struggle when you get substituted on the 86th minute. There hasn't really been the time to make an impact, but I just hope that comes because we spent for Norwich City a significant amount of money on Jordan Hugill, and I know that there's a good player in there, and I like Jordan Hugill, but it's hard to back that up when he's only got one goal this season. Javi Quintilla, I'm going to put him in average, along with Todd Cantwell and Christoph Zimmermann. I like Javi Quintilla, but I don't really get it in terms of Norwich City. He's clearly been told, or if he hasn't been told, I'm worried because he's not carrying out the instructions, to get to the byline and whip in crosses. Now that's fine, but that's not the way that we play, and that's not the way we've had success, and that's not the way I really want to see us play, and I don't think that's the way Daniel Farke either wants to see us play. We play usually through the middle, Buendia, Todd Cantwell, Marco Stiepermann getting the ball, threading Pukki through. It isn't throwing crosses into a box that is usually been empty. Now, I'm fine with throwing crosses into a box if that's the plan, but I don't think it is the plan, and it's just seemed a bit random and a bit sporadic. And there have been question marks with Javi Quintilla's defensive duties at times, and I don't think we've looked any worse since our recognised left-back has been out of the side and it's been replaced with Jakob Sorensen or Ballymumba. So that's a worry. I think he's an okay player, but I don't think he's an amazing footballer, so he's going in average. Vrančić, I'm going to throw him in superb because look at the man. Look at the man. Mario Vrančić is... Look, I wasn't sure about Mario when he first signed, but he's just majestic to watch. And there's an element of calmness about him. And I think when Mario Vrančić has got the ball at his feet, the world is a better place. You know, you forget about everything else. You forget about COVID. You forget about, you know, the economy crashing and burning. When Mario Vrančić has the football at his feet, there are no other problems in the world. It's as simple as that. And he's going in superb for exactly that reason. Ollie Skipp. I'm going to put Ollie Skipp in the good category. I think that's Ollie Skipp. Yeah, it's very small on my screen. That's definitely Ollie Skipp. Yeah, he's been good. He's been good. You know, Jose Mourinho rates him very highly, and I think Daniel Farke rates him very highly to be starting every single game. I think he's very combative. I think that's a word. If it's not a word, I'm using it. That's the way I'd describe Ollie Skipp. He's tough in the tackle. He's willing to drive the ball forwards. He wants to pass the ball forwards. And yes, he's made mistakes. And yes, he's made questionable defensive decisions this season. But he's young. He's learning. That's why we got him. If he was the finished product, he'd be playing for Tottenham week in, week out. He's not. He's made mistakes. But on the whole, he's made very good decisions as well. Ollie Skipp, I like you, mate. To be honest, all of these players I like. Other than a couple, but you know, that's good. That's a good sign. If you like your squad, it often means they're doing well. Even Hugill, Idah and Placheta I've put in that section, not because I dislike them, simply because I really like them and I want to see more from them. I think that's a good sign. Okay, next up on the list, let's go with Emi Buendia. I'm going to put Emi in the very good section. Now, we know that Emi Buendia is an elite level footballer. There's no question about that. I think him, along with Max Aarons, possibly Todd Cantwell, are Premier League footballers who we are lucky enough to have playing for us in the Championship. You would expect great performances week in, week out. And the joy of Emi Buendia is he's going in the very good section because I think there's still so much more to come from him. In terms of he hasn't yet got out of third gear. I think there's still a few gears to go through with Emi Buendia, but he's still contributed assists, key passes, a majestic goal against Bristol City. I want to be seeing more goals from Emi. I want to be seeing him involved in more passages of play, I think. But when he has been able to get on the ball this season, I think he's done his job fairly well. Another few gears to go through for Emi though, and I hope it comes because when it does, he is by far, without question, the best player in this whole division. No, don't even at me on that one. Ben Gibson up next. Again, he is the third player to go into the very good category. I've really enjoyed watching Ben Gibson play this season. I think he's been a really key component of that solidified defensive line. I mean, all the stats show that it's been better this season compared to previous seasons. To be fair, it would be difficult to make it worse. But Ben Gibson, you know, there's the option to buy him and it will be for a significant amount of money if we do so. He's had, you know, large transfer fees in the past, and usually that means that, you know, you've got a good player on your hands, and he's very classy in his business. He reads the game very well. I think the only time I've looked at Ben Gibson this season and gone, oh, he's been caught out of position there, was against Wycombe when they should have got that penalty. I think the ball was lofted over and he's misjudged it and he hasn't read it, and then he's almost pulled the Wycombe striker down. That was the only time where I think he looked slightly rattled. Other than that, like, he's just there and he just does his job. He kind of reminds me of Ledley King when he was like in his pomp at Spurs. Just reads the game well, goes about his business nicely. Yeah, I've been impressed with him. Two young players left, Josh Martin and Bali Mumba. We'll start with Bali Mumba. I'm going to put him in the good section. Really excited by Bali Mumba's prospects. I was very surprised to see him get the game time he did in pre-season. And when... Look, you can't read into pre-season too much, but I think you know what players are in the good books of the head coach and which players aren't. And Bali Mumba certainly goes in the good books of Daniel Farke. Farke clearly rates him highly. There's a reason he stayed and hasn't gone out on loan. Farke clearly sees his development here, and the football that I've seen Bali Mumba play so far this season has been really promising. I mean, that, you know, the substitute cameo against Swansea, he pretty much changed the game. And as 18, 19 years old, to change a championship game at that age is very exciting. So he goes in there, and you know what? I'll put I'll put Josh Martin in that section as well because of that cameo appearance against Swansea. And I know the sample size is very small, so you can't read too much into it. And the fact he's gone in above Todd and Christoph, look, don't read it too much into these tier lists. I know you'll get angry in the comment section, but I'm doing it off gut, and that is the most recent memory in my mind. So Josh Martin goes in there. So we've got Mario Vrančić, Tim Krul, and Max Aaron's in the superb category. I'm happy with that. Below that, Emi Buendia, Marco Stiepermann and Ben Gibson. I'm happy with that. Now it starts to get slightly controversial. Lots of plays in the good section. Pukki, Hanley, Hernandez, Rupp, Sorensen, McLean, Skipp, Mumba and Martin. Average, I think there's going to be some question marks about this. Zimmerman, Cantwell and Quintilla. And then in the must improve section, there's definitely going to be some question marks over this. Placheta, Idah and Hugill. 3 attacking players all go in the must improve section. Let me know what your tier list would be down in the comment section below. If you're new to Talk Norwich City, we release Norwich City content a lot. So hit subscribe, it's completely free. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.